So for chapter 1, we're starting off with variables and expressions. So some things that we're going to have to know, we have to know what a variable is, and that is a letter that represents a quantity or a number. Algebraic expressions, we're going to practice writing an expression. So that is a math phrase with one or more variables. And then you have a numerical expression, which is a math phrase that has numbers and operations, but no variables. So first, to write an algebraic expression, we have to know what the words mean, because we're not always going to use addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, so we have to know other words for them. So for addition, some other words are sum and more than. And we should be kind of familiar with these because we've been using them for a few years. Subtraction, you've got the word less and the word difference. Multiplication, product, the word times, so 3 times 5 is 15. And division, divided by, that one's an easy one to remember, and the word quotients. So what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video and I want you to write down one more word that means addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So next what we have is we're going to practice writing an algebraic expression with addition and subtraction. So addition is usually the easiest one. So our first example is 32 more than a number n. So we automatically know that means addition. Now addition, technically, since it says more than a number n, you start with n and then you add the 32 to it. However, with addition, you can flip-flop the order and they still mean the same thing, 32 plus n. Now, for subtraction, you cannot switch the order, so you really have to pay attention to what the order is. So if we read this here, it says 58 less a number n. Less, when you see that word, that's going to mean minus. So when it's less by itself, it means minus. We're going to look at a few examples where it says less than, and that makes it a little bit different. So you can read this 58 minus a number n, and you're going to write it that exact same way. So 58 minus a number n. Again, with subtraction, the order does matter, so you have to be careful with that. What is an algebraic expression for 18 more than a number n? So again, we have more than, so we're going to put the number first, n, and then more than means addition, so we're going to put plus, and then our number, 18. And that would be our algebraic expression. Next, we're going to practice multiplication and division. So we have 8 times the number n, nice and easy. We know times means multiply. And when you write it, you're just going to normally write it like this. You can put the times symbol, but since we're going to be using x a lot, you don't want to use the times symbol too much because that's going to get confused as a variable. You can also use a dot in the middle, but the most common way to write it is 8n with the number next to the letter. And usually the number comes first. Now, with division, again, the order matters. So it says the quotient. So quotient means division. Now, whatever comes after the word of is what you're going to put on top of the fraction. So it says of a number n. So the number n comes first. So you're going to do n divided by and 5. So divided by 5. So we're going to take a look at a few examples here. So we have 6 times the number n again. This means multiplication. So we're going to put 6 next to the letter n, 6n, so that means 6 multiplied by n. For B, we're looking at the quotient. So the quotient, so that's division of whatever comes after the word of goes on top. So I'm going to write 18 on top, and then a number n is going to go on bottom. And C, now this is asking, do the phrases 6 less a number y and 6 less than a number y mean the same thing? Remember, with subtraction, you cannot flip-flop the order, so the wording does matter. This right here means minus. When it says just less, it means 6 minus a number y. So I would write that 6 minus a number y. Now this one here, it says 6 less than a number y. So that means that you're going to start with a number y. So start with the number y, and then take 6 less than that. So you have to subtract 6 from that. So those two things are not the same. Make sure you write this on the paper. No, they are not the same. That'll be a common mistake. Next, we're going to go backwards a little bit. We're only going to do a few of these. So we're going to actually write the expression in words. So they give us the expression, we have to write it in words. So our first one is x plus 8.1. So we're going to write more mathematically. You can write x plus 8.1, or they kind of want to see the sum of a number, x, and you always got to give the number a variable, and 8.1. So remember, sum also means plus. Here we're going to skip over to C. So obviously it's division, so we're going to start with the quotient of a number. So remember, of, and then whatever is on top goes first. So of a number. When you're saying of a number, you got to give it a letter, and it's the letter N. And then and 3. And then lastly, we'll do D. So you have 5x. So remember, when they're right next to each other, that means multiplication. So this is 5 times a number, x, less. You can write less or minus. You'll most likely see less more than you'll see minus. So minus and then 1. All right, our first example here is a word problem. So it says, at a shoe store, a salesperson earns a weekly salary of $150. A salesperson is also paid $2 for each pair of shoes he or she sells during the week. So what we're going to do, if we think about it, every week, no matter what, they're getting $150. So, but it's based on the pairs of shoes sold. So they get $150 every week, no matter how many shoes they sell. But for each pair, this tells us each means multiply. For each pair, they're going to get $2. So if they sell 5 shoes, they're going to get $10. We have to multiply the number of shoes times the $2, and then they automatically get the $150. So if they have 10 shoes, multiply that by $2, 15 shoes. So if we notice, the only number that is changing here is this. So we write our equation, or our expression, it's going to say 150 plus 2 times, we'll give the number of shoes, we'll just make it S. So 2 times S, the number of shoes that are sold. So that way we could figure out if they sold 100 pairs of shoes, how much money they would make. We would just plug the number of shoes into the equation for S, multiply it by 2, and add 150. And then lastly, I want you to go ahead, pause the video, read the equation, and I want you to try to write your own equation for this problem here. So pause it, and then check your answer.